Okay, we can resume. Again, sorry, probably the audio of this video lecture will not very good, but unfortunately my PC does not recognize anymore the microphone of the classroom. But I test, it seems that we can hear something. So, okay. So what we are going to do now, we are going to implement something. We are going to add some dynamic behavior of the page that you developed last week with Professor De Russis. So here we have the same page already developed. You have this static layout with the question asked by that person with a date, and if you click on the button, I mean, nothing happened, and that's it. Let's now start to add some dynamic behavior. So is readable? Do you want that I increase more, less? More or less readable for now. Okay, I have a positive feedback from the background. Thank you. So, exercise 6, we are going to add the dynamic behavior. We want to do basically two different stuff. Loading the answer. So we are going to load a list of answers from a dedicated JavaScript array. And we are going to display them in the web page using of course, suitable DOM manipulation methods. We know that each answer in JavaScript is represented as text with name, score, and date. And each answer has associated button to increase the score. So we are going to create this part dynamically, and we are going to add an event listener. Oh no, we're going to add an event listener that will be able to manage this dynamic behavior. Okay, so considering that we more or less already implemented what we need in the past week, I propose to let's start from the week 4 folder, and let's take this, which is the complete page, the one that we were browsing a couple of minutes ago. So here, the week 5 class folder. Let's paste the file here, and let's rename it simply as index.html. Okay, so here we have this page. Okay, is that. So let's move to this folder, revealing file explorer, double click on it, and that's it. You see, the layout is slightly different. Why? Because, sorry? Yeah, I mean, partially, but if you, for sure it's browser dependent, but if you see, we are on the same browser, okay? I'm not changing browser, okay? So why it is slightly different? Is it slightly different? Yeah, the footer is different. Why? What? Yeah, we don't have the CSS, okay? So let's go here and let's retrieve also the custom CSS. So let's put it there. The name is the same. You see, this adds some property to the footer. So if we refresh the page, now it's exactly the same page, okay? And we can start working on it. Okay. I would say, what is, if we have a look to the index.html, let's close this tab. Can you read the code, or do I increase the font? Okay. Is it okay in this way or more? Is it okay? Okay. What is, I think, the first concept that we discussed today? Do you remember? What? The script tag, yeah. What will we discuss in the beginning of the class? Do you remember? Yeah? Okay, that's the point. So he said we discussed that there is a better way to include the JavaScript file related to Bootstrap. So we take it from the bottom of the page and we move it here in the top, adding defer. So in this way, that part of code will be loaded while the page is loading, and it is executed when the DOM is ready. Okay, it's the concept that we discussed in the beginning. Okay, so this is the first stuff. Then let's move again here. We say that we want something which is dynamical, right? We don't want to have this stuff hard-coded anymore. So let's, did I say it? Yes. Okay, if we refresh the page, you can see that the filling is, we do not perceive this change because we are loading very small files, but okay. So to introduce the dynamic behavior, let's go inside the table. I would say, what do you think? Do we need to dynamically create also the table header, or do you think that that part could remain hard-coded? Who say dynamically? No one? Who say hard-coded? And the other that did not raise the hands? What do you propose? Okay. Let's keep this part hard-coded. I would say that we could keep the table body. And just to have a reference, instead of removing, let's comment this part, okay? So from this to here, okay? We can keep even the form. So if we refresh the page, the rows are disappeared, and we have this hard-coded part, okay? Considering that we are here, I think that we can also give some a bit of parameters to the form, because we see something about that. So you see the date is of type date, and this is the reason why we have this object here, which, remember, is browser dependent. Then we have what is the purpose? Okay, the text, has sense that it's text, even this one. But probably for the score, we can use the type number. Okay. In this way, if we reload the page, you see we have a score, which is an integer. And I would say that we could assign a default value, which is 0. So in this way, if I put here, I don't know, 99 just to show you, and I refresh the page, the default value will be 0. That makes sense. Do you agree? Okay. So, okay, let's take some JavaScript now. I would say again that we already developed something related to manage this Stack Overflow page. So I think that we can go, probably was in week 2 we used the database. Probably we can take some code from here. We have the answer, the question. We do not use all these methods. Or maybe from week 1 it would be exercise, scores, probably. No. Let's take the week 2. Let's start from that. So exercise.js, we put here. We can rename it like, I don't know, app.js. And then we have the toString. I would replace the find, the after, all this stuff. I'll keep the toString. Let's add main, and then let's invoke the main. I would not put debugger here because we are not going to run this code in Node.js, but directly in the browser. Okay, I would like to come back on this part later. Okay, text name, that could be maybe author. We have the date, okay, we have the answer, the method to add answer, we have the toString, here is author and not name. Okay, and we can imagine, for instance, that when we start the application, one of the first stuff that we want to do is to create the question object. With the question, which was, is JavaScript better than Python? Asked by Luigi De Russis. And we can imagine to have like an init method that we are going to write here inside the question object. And the purpose of this method is to, let's start thinking in a full stack way, okay, with a front end and in a back end. We are writing some code in the front end, but obviously we will retrieve the data from the back end, okay? So imagine that in the front end we are going to display a question and we want to check in the back end if we already have answers, okay? So right now we are going to hard code this part because we are not working in in a full stack way, but the concept is that this method in a month will be a method that will fetch something from the backend, okay? So let's use this dot answers, or we can reuse this method, but I'm not sure that it is going to work. So just to be fast, this dot answer dot push, which is the method that interacts directly on the array, and this method could accept one or more elements to put it inside the array. So what I want to do is to take. Did I hear a question? Okay. Which method are you talking about? The push method? Where did I define the init method? I'm defining the method right here inside the question object. Okay, it is something that is not something standard. It's something that I'm developing right now. Okay, is it clear? Are you sure? Is it clear? Okay, I'm just creating. If you remember, in the past weeks, we create the question in this way. You see, we create a question that is. Okay, I could copy and paste even that. I can take the date. Okay, we create the question. Then we create a set of answers, and we add those answers to the question. Do you remember? Okay. What I'm going to do now is to, instead of doing this manually, it remains manually, but what I would stress is that the concept is to, is to create something, no, it doesn't work, okay. It was a very bad idea to select multiple rows. I want to create a method that is able to create a set of answer that is designed like retrieving them from a backend. Okay, it's just a concept. Is it clear? I lost you. I guess. I hope that is clear. Okay. Okay, so in this way we are going to instantiate that part. Okay, we don't need even the sentences. Okay, so if I obviously let's go step by step. Okay, if I refresh my page now, nothing happens. I can also open the console. Okay, I remember that I'm probably using the wrong integrity check. It was there because this is the hash of 5.1.3. Let's just do. Okay, now the integrity check succeeds. So this is again a copy and paste error that you can see. This hash is associated to version 5.1.3 of Bootstrap. I wrote 5.2.3, that is the one that we should use. And when the page is loaded, we have this error that unfortunately is in Italian, but basically say that the hash is wrong. So this is just even to show you problem in hashes. We should use version 5.2. I will fix it later, but doesn't matter. If you see now, nothing changed. And nothing changed for two reasons. What is the first one? No ideas, really? I was extremely boring in the first hour. Okay, I try to answer for you. First point, we did not import the JavaScript code inside the page. Okay, so obviously, if I wrote JavaScript code which is not imported, nothing could change. Okay, so obviously, I need to import the script again in a different way. The syntax should be local. Yeah, just app.js. Okay, that's it. But obviously, if I refresh the page, again, nothing changed because we just created an object and we did not create any HTML elements. So obviously, nothing would render on the page. And there is also another stuff that I want to show you, which is that we have this error which say require is not defined. Why do you think we have this kind of error? Yeah, this is partially one colleague of you said because the JS is not installed, and that is one of the points. But specifically, require is a keyword of Node, okay, Node.js. So here we are trying to import some JavaScript code using, where is it? Not here, here. Here we are trying to use this require, which is a syntax of Node, but we are not writing code for Node anymore. We are writing code for browser, okay? So how we can import the JS? What? Oh, did you say we can search for the JS file, right? Yeah. Basically, this is one of the approach. This is the one that we are going to use. Or obviously, you can use, for instance, Node and install the module. But I mean, not Node, sorry, npm and install the module. But what we are going to use is searching for the JS. And if we go to get started, browser, you see the last time we go for Node.js installation, that suggests us to do in this way. If we go for browser, we discovered that we had two different approaches. We can download the file, put it in a folder and include it, like we did for this static file that I guess what your colleagues is suggesting. Or like we did for Bootstrap, we can import the script and then use it. Here you see there is the inline script approach that we said you don't use it for testing, but this is the instruction that imports Node.js. So we can go here in the HTML page, not in the JavaScript page, okay? And add it in the code. And it is extremely important that we put Node.js before the application. Why? What? You don't know? What?
The required keyword.
What do you mean with the required keyword?
We can find the required. We put after the JS.
Okay, I'm not 100% sure, but I guess that what you said is that if we put it later, we don't have the dependency, right? That's the point. We can try. If I do something like this, and I save, and I refresh the page, you see the JS is not defined because we're trying to use something which is not yet imported. I don't know why it used this syntax. Okay, that's it. Now everything is working, but obviously we did not yet created any HTML components, so we have to start working on that. So let's start from the method for retrieving the answer, I would say. Okay. Okay, so let's write something like we have created a question object, we have initialized it, and now let's obtain the answers, okay? So we are going to write something like answers question.getAnswers, which is a method that we have to implement yet, and then with this answer, let's imagine to fill our table. So we can write a method like fill answers table with this set of answers. And so this is basically the logic of the application. Let's start from the getAnswer method. We have something like that. Not yet, okay? Let's just write a getter method here, this get answers without parameters, and let's do something like return spread of these the answers in a new array. In this way, we are creating a copy of the answers array that we give back, okay? Just because for internal consistency, for do not modify the question object, we retrieve a copy. Then with this object, we can start creating this answer table. So let's take this method, which can define here because it's not part of the object. I mean, it's something related to the graphical appearance. And obviously, I would like to reason with you, okay? So if we have to recreate the table, okay, there is something that we had are coded and something that we have to generate. You remember? Okay. What we decide to keep hard-coded? The whole page, a part of the table, you remember? The header and the table body, right? Not the rows, but we had the table body, right? Here, we have the t-body attributes, right? So, reasonably, we need to have access to this element to manipulate it, right? Do you agree? And what do you think is the best approach to get an object from our HTML page? We know that we want that specific object, right? So, I hear something but using ID, okay? So let's assign an ID to this table. For instance, I don't know, we can call it answers table, okay? In this way, it will be extremely easy to have access to it. So let's get this answer table with the method document dot get element by ID. You see, hopefully using Visual Studio Code or other IDE, we have help in choosing the right method, which is very difficult to remember everything by heart. And we write this answers table, right? We call it in that way. Yes, we can even copy and paste to be 100% sure. What? Ah, an N. Okay. This saved me a lot of headache later. Okay. Now we have this table. What do you think we have to do now? Insert, right? What? The elements of the table, which are? But I mean, what is the element of a table? Which is, do you remember the tag name? Yeah, a table row, and inside the table row, all the table data, okay? So let's create, let's create a for, something like const answer of answers. So we can give here the object that we take before, and then on this object, let's imagine to have a method for creating an answer element. So we can call it, I don't know, create answer row. Okay. And then let's imagine that we already have this row. How we can put it in the table? Everyone remember it? Maybe you get the point previously, do you remember? What? Yeah, for instance, we can try to use that method, okay? So let's imagine we have the answer table, and we can use, probably we want to put it inside, yeah, probably append maybe. Insert node after the last child of node, it should work, we will see. The answer element. Okay, and this should be the structure of what we did. Let's now create this create answer row method. Is that one that we missed, right? Yeah. That receive an answer. Okay. So again, we have, not again, it's the first time that we create something, but I imagine that this is not a surprise for you. You said before we need to create a table row, right? So we create it using the document dot create element, and obviously we specify that we want to create a table row. Okay, so now we have the table row object. Inside the table row we need the table data. See, let's call it, yeah, sure. How many table data does we need? 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4 for the data, and a bit of spoiler, we need also a fifth table data to storing the buttons. Okay, so let's create the td date, like document dot create element table data. Then in this object we are going to put like inner text. We have the answer object here, so we can do answer dot date dot format, and we can use the the one that used by Professor De Russis even last week. And then obviously we have to append the t date to the table row. Okay, so we have to repeat basically. So we have the table row, we have the first table data. This, instead of being t date, will be, I don't know, td text for the text of the answer, and we are going to put answer dot text. Then we are going to, oh no, we need another one for the name that we could call td author. Create element td text author, and here we're going to take the author name and to append it. Then we need the score. Was author even for the answer? I don't remember. Question, answer, no, it was name. Okay. So let's call it td name answer dot name. We will see later if everything is working. Oh no, what did I change? Date, text, name, score, answer dot score, and then okay, we need the button obviously, so let's call it we are going to put td, and inside the td the button. So this is the same. And just to, because in that case we should again create the button, assign the class, assign the properties and stuff like that. Just to be faster, for this part I show you the other method that is inner HTML. Okay? Using this method you can basically put a piece of HTML directly there instead of creating all the components. I need the backtick, and I do not have it on my keyboard. Here it is. Okay, awesome. So here we can go back in our HTML. We can take, for instance, this part and put it there. Okay, otherwise we have to create the button, then access to the class parameter, setting these classes, set the inner text vote. In this way, with a simple line, we modified it. And I propose also, because we will need later to add an ID, which will be something like, I don't know, answer vote, and I would put the answer dot ID here. There was an ID in the answer, right? Question, no, let's put the ID. Even to the question. So here we have to put 1, 2, and 3. And even here we have to put 1. Okay. And now we have to append the child. So tr append child td action with that button inside. And obviously we have now to return the table row. Okay, so let's see if everything has sense. We have the main method. The main method create a question, which is JavaScript better than Python? Asked by Luigi De Russis on this date. We did not specify the score. So let's check. Yeah, score has a default value. No, this is the answer. Yeah, answer has score, not question. Okay, makes sense. Then we are going to initialize this table, this question, sorry, using the init method that simply create 3 different answers, which are the same that we discussed in the previous week. And if I remember well, we also added another one, which was both have their pros and cons. Okay. I don't know, let's put the fourth. Why? The comma. Then after putting the initializing the question, we are going to retrieve these answers from the question, and we are going to fill the answer table. In this fill answer table method, we are going to obtain the reference to the answer table, and for each answer we are going to create an answer row, and we are going to append this answer row to the table. And this is the creation of the answer row that has a row, a TD for the date, a TD for the text of the answer, a TD of the name of the author of the answer, a score, and the table data related to action in which there is the button. So hopefully everything should work. Let's see. Okay, it works. Okay, now we can maybe okay, obviously if I click on vote button, nothing happens, right? Because we did not implement any even listener. Maybe we can say, okay, it's not so nice to have the answer in the top of the page. I mean, it depends. We can try to change the method. We used where it was. We used append. We can try to use prepend that instead puts on top, and we should observe that this order should change, so we should have both of their pros and cons in the top, and obviously Prepend. Okay, awesome. You see the order now is opposite. Obviously here we can manage the ordering as we want. We can sort about the date, we can sort by author, we can sort by score. I mean, nothing special. And I guess also that just to show you that everything is working, for instance, here can I assign a score of 10? If yes has -10, I guess that no should have 10. I refresh the page, okay, and everything is working. Okay, let's add some. Let's manage also the part related to the. No, before I would like to show you also the string literal way to create the answer row. Okay, so let's say that this method use the classic way, or object-oriented way, if you want to create the single elements. Okay, we can also use. Do you remember before I said we have this inner HTML that allow us to put some HTML inside. We could also create directly a piece of HTML to put there. So in that way, this would be a little bit simpler. It is not something that I suggest you to do because I prefer to have the object-oriented approach. But I mean, you can use the string literal to, let's call it the string literal way. So we can do something like, let's use the same name, create answer row literal. Let's do something like that. So in this way, if we paste the HTML, we can write something like return. I need this character. Okay. And we can create something like, here we have the TR. Here I close the TR. And here we have so answer dot date dot format. Okay. Here we have the answer dot text. Answer dot, now was name, not author. I don't remember. Answer name. Okay. And then the score. Now, if we replace the create answer row with create answer row literal, was here, hopefully, if I do not miss anything. Ah, no, right. This method could not work exactly in this way. Why? Do you have an idea? If you are just write this and I keep everything in this way, do you think that this is going to work? You can also say yes if you think that. see? We place a string there, so obviously it cannot work. Instead of using prepend, which is designed for objects, we should use something like was insert adjacent HTML that is designed to take a string. You see, string, text string. What did I miss? At least, but only one. Ah, yeah, I have to specify where I want to put the HTML. We're going to say after begin, something like that. Okay, awesome. Same behavior, exactly the same, okay? Just in one way, we create the object, we create the sub-object, we assign the parameters, we did all this kind of stuff. In this other way, we just created a string of HTML. Do you know, this approach is faster, but I mean, from my point of view, is more error prone, because it could happen that you add some characters that should not be there, while using the object-oriented approach, it's true, is a bit slower, but you know what you are creating, okay? So let's just keep the classic way. So where was main field answer table? So let's comment this part and use this one. Let's comment this row, so I can. So in this way, you have the two approaches. And here you have answer EL, create answer row. Okay. Let's add the button very fast. I mean, not the button, sorry, the listener. I mean, we have this button here. And now what we need is to add an even listener that when the button is pressed, increase the value of the answer. Obviously, we are just going to change it in the front end. We are not going to change the back end because we do not have a back end. I will show you in a couple of minutes what I mean. So let's keep this TD action and let's add something like add even listener. Okay, we want to catch the click event, and we are going to define a callback function. When this event occurs, so when the button is pressed, I would like to print this object just to show you what the event object contains, and then we're going to change the score because we have the reference here, something that you see you could not do something like that if you manage the row in this way, because you don't have the pointer to this because it's just a string, while here you have the object. So you can do td score dot inner text, so we are going to change the text which is inside that table row, and we are going to take the score and increment it by 1 to be sure of not having issues. We are going to cast it to number, and just to be sure we can print, for instance, let's print the event.target.id. So we would have this stuff because the target is the button and this is the ID. Okay, hopefully it should work. Let's open the console, no error, okay? If we press here, You see, the score become 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We can do whatever score we want. Obviously, here we should implement also a mechanism that does not allow the user to cast too many upvotes, because the user should only cast one, but this is just an idea. If we refresh the page, you see the score is reset to 0 because there is no persistency. I would like to show you here. You see, this is the, can you all read a bit? I'm trying to, okay, I can increase more. Okay, here you have all the information. Here you have the ID, okay? Do you remember we insert in reverse order? So this has the ID 4, while this has the ID 1. Obviously, the page is partially broken now that we zoom in this way, but don't care. So here you have the ID 4, and here you have other information. For instance, you have button 0. That means I click with the left button. Obviously, I cannot click with the right button, but you have the coordinates. If I click the button here, I have 1281. If I click here, I have 1330. Okay, and I want to show you that we did not assign, just because we are very fast, we did not assign the listener to the button. Do you remember? We assigned the listener to the table data. So this means that if I click, for instance, here, you see the event is, I did not click the button. You see that here is the end and here it isn't. I click on the table data. So the event is still triggered. But if you see here, the target is different. It's not the button, it's the table data that does not have an ID because we did not assign the ID to the table data. And we still have the coordinates and stuff like that. Just to, this is something that sometimes happen in the labs. Be aware of which kind of object do you bind with the listener, okay? Because, for instance, if we will add a button for downvoting, you cannot add the listener to the table data. Otherwise, you have the same behavior for the two buttons. You have to specify two different behavior for button answer vote and for button answer downvote. They are two different entities. Okay. If I remember well, yeah, we did it. Loading the answer and changing the score. I was very fast. We should implement also the downvote button, but we are very, very close to the end of the lecture. So do you have any kind of question of what we have seen in this part? Okay, so I think that's all from my side. See you on Thursday for next laboratory. We are going to implement the dynamic behavior also in the film library application. We are going to do more or less the same stuff that we did here, nothing special. And if you want to talk with me, I have these couple of minutes while I unplug in the PC, but we are very close to the end of the lecture. So for deep lab question, see you on Thursday, okay? Have a nice rest of the day.